Good evening. Thank you for being here this evening. I'm going to open the meeting of October 24th. We are here at the Clara Barton School, and I'd like to first thank Mr. Baroni and his staff for allowing us to use his facility this evening. The building, as I said, looks fantastic. It really has a nice little fall feel to it, so thank you very much for having us. We'll start tonight with our student rep, Ryan Donovan, and he will give us the report from the high school.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
So I'll start off with student council because we've got a lot going on this month and next month in November. Going back to October 11th, the other 6 officers of student council and I went to the annual MASC officer shop at Holy Cross, and it was a really fun day, and we had a lot of informative and fun workshops, and we took a lot home to our council. This Thursday night from 6 to 8 is our Halloween event. We're going to be having a trick-or-treating through the hallways in the high school, and fun games, and if they wear a costume, they get into a contest for best costume, and it's children under 4 are 3, and then 4 and over are $5. So it should be really excited and really fun. I'm really excited for that. This Friday, a few people from our council are attending CDMASC Laser Tag. It's a fun event that the Central District Student Council holds every year at Laser Zone in Marlboro, so it should be really fun. I'm going to that.
Good.
This Saturday, we are participating in the Trick or Trot, which is an event for the Special Olympics in Marlboro. It's a 1-mile walk or a 5K and 10K race. And we have a good amount of people going for that. And I believe so far we've raised $1,500 for it.
Oh, great.
And our goal is $2,000, so we're almost there. The turkey run is November 21st in the OHS cafeteria. And for those that don't know what the turkey run is, it's everyone from throughout the school district, and especially the high school, gets together in the cafeteria, and we make boxes of Thanksgiving dinners for people who are less fortunate, and we give them to the food shelter. And student council has like a competition for points, and it's really good. It turns out really well every year. Our new event this year, it's going to be held on November 30th, is Dancing with the Teachers.
Oh, jeez.
A play on Dancing with the Stars. Students and teachers will learn a dance routine on their own and then compete in a night of fun. It should be really fun. It's looking really good. We have good chairs
So
for
it'll be
it.
teacher and student? Or-
Yes, teacher-student pairs, whoever they choose, and it can be a group of students with a teacher or vice versa.
Well, I hear Mr. Wells has tap shoes, so I'm sure that would go over well.
I'll be there with bells on.
And then we're also having a fundraiser called Lilies for Lily. A staff member's great-granddaughter has Pompe syndrome, and we're selling paper lilies for $1 to help benefit someone who's sponsoring her in an Ironman competition in Hawaii. And we have lilies out on the bulletin boards of the student council room with all the names of people that have donated so far, and there's a lot of lilies out there, so people are donating to a great
That's
cause.
good, yeah.
Moving on to NHS, we were supposed to have a Sadie Hawkins dance sometime next month, but due to scheduling conflicts, we had to push that off until we're thinking February. We're going to do a Valentine's Day dance. And instead, we're moving our annual Mr. Oxford pageant to December. It's going to be held on December 8th. It's usually held in February. So we have a lot of guys from the high school that go through. It's kind of like a beauty pageant for guys. It's really fun, so looking forward to that. Best Buddies, on October 10th, we had our matching party. So people were matched with kids with disabilities on that night, and I got my buddy, and a lot of my friends did, and a lot of people throughout the high school, and it was really fun. We got into groups, and we made our group team name and everything. It was awesome. It should be a really good year for it. NJROTC, their first drill meet is November 19th. They have their first inspection on November 23rd. within the next couple weeks, this is moving on from NJROTC now, the senior breakfast will be held on October 31st, Halloween, and along with that will come the annual senior skit that the juniors are working on, so that should be a good time. The chess club has a tournament coming up. That's what they told me. And
You can
then
let us
going on
know
to
how it
sports,
went.
I will. Going on to sports, football, this past Friday, we lost against Grafton 37-19. And our next game is this Friday at Northbridge, and their record, I believe now, is 3-4. Field hockey, our star sports team this year, has a record of 15-0, and their senior night is tonight at 7 versus Uxbridge for both varsity and junior varsity. And they made districts, which the regular season ends this Friday, I believe, is what I've been told, and then district starts next week. So they've been doing really well, really
They're
well.
a great team.
Yeah. Boys soccer, their record is 4-8-3. They had beat Millbury 3-0 last week, I believe on Friday. And the next game is tomorrow at Uxbridge, and their senior night, along with the girls' soccer senior night, is this Wednesday night. Girls are, I don't have the record. They lost to Bartlett on Tuesday, 2-3. Yeah, sorry. The next game is today, and it was at 3, and it was home against Uxbridge. Their senior night, again, is Wednesday. And finally, cross country. The boys' record is 6-6, or the boys' record. The girls' record is 3-8. And sophomore Shelby Stratton for the girls set a new OHS record for the course, not the course record, but the record for the school. And their league championship meet is this Wednesday at Webster Lake Memorial Beach at 2 o'clock.
Very good. Very, very good. Thank you very much, Ryan. A lot going on at the high school. We appreciate your report.
Thank you.
Have a good day. Okay, now I will, approval of minutes from our meeting of September 26th, please. Are there any corrections or comments? May I have a motion to accept as written?
Motion to accept.
Thank you, thank you. And I'll call for the vote, please.
Yes.
And I vote yes. For the record, Mrs. Coonan will be absent this evening. I forgot to say that at the beginning. And Mr. Peterson, I believe, is running late. Okay. Mr. Trahan, if you would mind coming up. There you are. Mr. Himmelberger, would you explain to us the technology list we have in front of us?
I will hand it off to Mr. Trahan, but as you know, from time to time, we do have outdated technology, and certainly as our needs get more and more complex and complicated, it is important for us to maintain common platforms and a consistent replacement timeline. So I'll let Mr. Trahan explain and answer questions.
Thank you for coming in. Appreciate it. Go ahead, sir.
The list that you have in front of you is some of the equipment that we'd like to retire this year. Most of this stuff is more than 6 years old, with a few exceptions to that. I don't know if there's anything specific that you'd like to ask.
I guess in some of these things, like some, it tells us on the first page it's computers. What are some of these other items?
Most of them, the CRT, those are monitors. Those are
Okay.
the big kind of
Yeah.
clunky monitors that we're moving away from.
Yeah.
And at the very end, we have some printers. This is where you'd find some of the things that aren't necessarily older than the 6. The printer, the 5610 model there, that's one that I did purchase, but died out of warranty. This is my 5th school year. That printer's probably 4 years old and just didn't out of the maybe 30, 40 that we bought of that model, didn't kind of cut the mustard over time. The bottom item is the UPS at the middle school that we bought to help support the phone system.
Mhm.
That actually was, had a battery leaking issue this summer, so we quickly replaced that and, to keep our middle school phone system running. But these other machines, a lot of these actually, I think, were donated to us, especially some of the random monitors. Didn't necessarily have asset tags or, were never inventoried, years ago.
Okay.
But we're making sure that we log everything as it goes out.
Okay. And
Couple,
where-
I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
A couple of random things that I know of, for a fact, like this scanner, these scanners at the bottom, these are items that, and we're still doing this as we go through the rooms in the summer, opening up closets, the cabinets in some of the teachers' rooms. I know this Dell UltraScan scanner, that was in C103 at the high school, and we found that, I think maybe last April or May, that just an old scanner that, doesn't even have the same kind of connection that we would use. Couple of laptops in here. I think if we're back on the second page, there's some UMax laptops. I think several years ago, long before my time, there was a Intel to the Future grant, and teachers who participated in that grant were given laptops, and these laptops were given back to me as teachers have retired.
Okay.
And there's nothing that we can do with it. They're Windows 95, 98,
Okay.
so.
All right.
Mrs. Pruning might know, was that, when was Intel to the Future?
Actually, that was the Fresh Pond, that was the first design team. Design team 1 and design team 2 got the UMaxes, and that was probably 1998.
So it's Windows 98, thank you.
Okay. Where would all of this go?
Where does the equipment go to die? Mr. Wells has given us a room at the high school, and we bring it down there. We bring it down there, we take out the hard drives, we farm any parts that we possibly can use, whether it's a motherboard,
Okay.
a connection, the RAM. We take out the hard drives more specifically because we don't want that going anywhere just in case there's data. We lock that up in the head end room.
You
Those
do,
will-
okay.
Yeah, oh yeah, we take out all the hard drives out of all the computers, but they go down there, and then when there's, I use this term loosely, a lull in the tech support tickets, my staff will go down and inventory all of this. They'll do it in a bunch of 10 or 13 or 14 computers. They'll get the inventory numbers, all the data, wrap it up so that nothing else gets thrown in that pile. That room has started to become a catch-all. I think some of the custodians are bringing other stuff in there, desks and even copy machines and stuff. But as we can, we're trying to inventory a lot of this stuff and bring it to you as quickly as we can.
All right. Any questions from the committee? Okay. I'd like to entertain a motion to retire this technology as requested. I'm satisfied with the explanation.
Motion to retire?
Thank you,
Second?
thank you. And I'll call for the vote, please.
Yes.
Yes.
And the items will be surplus, 3 affirmative. Thank you very much.
My pleasure.
Mr. Himmelberger, I'll let you lead off on the MCAS results.
Thank you, Mrs. Ennis. I just wanted to welcome everybody who's watching and also all the folks that are here. Just wanted to make sure to reiterate that it's important, since we have a different camera set up tonight, to make sure that we all speak as loudly and as clearly as we can, so that this can be aired at home. I would like to just give an overview, because obviously MCAS results are important. However, if you factor in what goes on at the federal level as well as the state level, it helps to give us maybe a little better perspective of where we are in this process. As most everybody has probably read in some of the media, there was a correction that was found by a student, but prior to that correction, 82% of schools in the state and 91% of the districts did not make AYP, which is the adequate yearly progress that under No Child Left Behind, we are charged with attaining. And this is a direct result of a law that should have been reauthorized in 2007. And this is the law that dictates how public education runs in this country. It was pushed off by the prior administration in Washington to the current And while they are doing some work in committee, it appears that it will be pushed off again to the next administration. Obviously, because the law has a lot of negatives in it, especially towards the later parts of what is dictated by this law, there's not a lot of appetite to enforce it, but there's also not a lot of appetite to correct it by reauthorization. The current Department of Education in Washington obviously knows and has admitted to the flaws within the current law, because they are now offering to states to apply for a waiver so that the punitive pieces of the law are no longer in force. And Massachusetts has certainly indicated that they will apply for the waiver, and based upon the requirements, it is apparent that it will be granted by the Department of Ed for the state. The biggest part of this NCLB is that in the year 2013 and 14, in the spring of 14, all of our students must be proficient or better in their exit exam. That is a daunting requirement. Under the current law, and under the Race to the Top formula that the current administration has given to us, we are now classified as a level 3 district out of 5, and that will require for us to do meet some benchmarks by the state to make sure that we are correcting where we can to move our progress forward. As you will see from the analysis that our directors and principals will share tonight, while we have challenges and we do have improvements, we are not, in some cases, doing as poorly as the numbers say we are. And as a matter of fact, as I walk in and out of classrooms, I happen to see an awful lot of great teaching and great learning in this district. And not to minimize the challenges that we have in front of us, but we are doing a lot of things well. We have a lot of things to improve. Also to consider is the rapid change in the demographics in Oxford. We are no longer a district where there are 2 parents in every household supporting education in the home environment, and we no longer have a low income rate that's half the state average. We registered 125 students this summer and another 30 since the beginning of school. This is roughly 13% of the total student population in the district. In this group, 68% of the students live in a household where there is only 1 parent. That's almost 7 in 10. We also have in this group 53% that qualify as low income. We all know that even the experts at the state and federal level have acknowledged that low-income students are a challenge to try and move towards proficiency in standardized tests. We've also seen that our English language learner, our special education population, and even our homeless population has all dramatically increased from where it has been over the last several years. These students require more of our budget dollars to meet their needs. And that is what public education is all about. It is meeting the needs of everybody, regardless of race, regardless of their background, their needs, or any underlying social issues. It is interesting to point out that parents have alternatives, and that was also part of the current law, that if you were not happy with where your child was going, you could use and choose other alternatives. The big difference between public education and private school or charter or choicing out or vocational schools is that if situations change and they are no longer suitable for those entities, they can release the students back to their home district. We do not have that option. We take everybody, and it is our goal and our challenge to educate them all. And we try each and every day. Over the last 3 years, our budget has increased almost 1% from fiscal '09 to fiscal '12. And if you factor in inflation, our purchasing power has actually decreased over these several years, as all of us who operate home budgets can well attest. So, we are asked to educate everyone with more challenging demographics. We are to meet unrealistic assessment targets with less money every year. That is the challenge. This is a challenge that you will see we are working to meet each and every day. Are we perfect? No. Have we ignored the problem? Absolutely not. Are we constantly working to improve? Yes. Will we be successful? Yes. But we also need help and support from everybody in the Oxford Public Schools community. And we need that from staff, we need that from parents and community, and we need from our own students that support to work hard every day to maximize what we have to offer. So I just wanted to give the committee that background and that perspective, because we oftentimes think the district is in a vacuum, but it really is subject to so much at the state and federal level. And with that, I would offer to the chair, however you would like the order, for everyone to come and present and analyze our data.
Okay, I'm just gonna make a quick comment also in regard to MCAS. Anyone that knows me knows I am not a fan of this testing. I don't believe it is an accurate read on our students. If you have honor roll students who are doing very, very well with their teachers, but take a test and they are in need of improvement, there's something wrong. If you have students that work really, really hard all the time and they come up with these, or let me say this, they say, I don't even know what these questions mean, we haven't even discussed it, there's something wrong. So this whole idea of this MCAS testing and the time it consumes, I will never support teaching to test. I never have, never will, I don't believe in it. I don't believe teachers should be in a classroom and be handcuffed because they have to teach to test. It doesn't do the teacher any good, and it certainly doesn't do the student any good. I was in Mr. Yvonne's school a couple weeks ago with Mr. Himmelberger, and I have to say, again, the hum of the building was glorious. It was fantastic. You have teachers that engage the students. You have the Project Duke that, I mean, you see how closely and intimate they work together to make sure that the kids get everything they need. The kids were happy. They were enthusiastic. You know, there was something going on there. That's what you want to see. Now, there's no MCAS testing there. Now I can't wait to come to this school so I can say, let's see the difference. Because now the kids are starting that MCAS testing. I don't understand where, and I have said this publicly, I've said it privately to anybody that ears I can bend, state, house-wide. I don't understand where this state comes up with this whole idea that they think that MCAS is the proper read. It's not. The proper read is the teacher. The teacher is the one that is with the children. If you want to follow children and see how well they do, talk to the teacher. They're the professional, not some test that you've got to fill in the dot. I will never support this test. I will fight it forever, as long as I'm around to do this, even if I'm not here, I will fight this test forever. I just think it is a terrible barometer, so to speak, of what goes on in our buildings. So, in saying that, that's my 2 cents. I don't know if any of my colleagues have a comment that they'd like to make either way. Anything?
Not this time.
Okay, I'm going to start with Mrs. Hackett and Mr. Milner, if they wouldn't mind coming forward, since they have the biggest report, I think, to give us tonight. Thank you very much for coming in.
Thank you, Mrs. Ennis,
You're
and
welcome.
the school committee. We do have the biggest report because we also have the largest number of children who took multiple tests. And so, in order to have a baseline, we decided to look at some of the data on the Department of Education's website, and to look at data for the first time that we had reconfigured the elementary school so that all of the 3rd and 4th graders were together, and so that we could watch cohorts of children move through the elementary schools and then into middle school. And the first slide that I believe Mr. Trahan has up there looks at what is the distribution of growth by grade, and it happens to be ELA. There is a very similar one in math that was not available on the website to put here for you. It shows the number and percentages of students at each of the growth levels, from very low to very high proficient, percentages of proficient and above. And we are looking at the growth from the elementary schools and what we do through middle school. So while 4th grade children are current 5th graders, in ELA were 38% proficient or advanced. When they came into the middle school, that meant that teachers in 5th grade had to work with what they had as their baseline, and to then build on that. And if you look at the percentages in that far right column, how they have gone up significantly. And for our 6th grade particularly, there's a huge spike. This particular page here is ELA. Math is perhaps even more dramatic. It's unfortunate the Department of Education didn't have that graph on their website to print in the same format. So you can see that by the time they have completed 6th grade, we've nearly doubled. So a true credit to our teachers working together, but also not to point finger or blame at anyone, but to look at where we start for baseline and to measure our growth,
Right,
because
right.
that's what's important.
Yeah.
Not where we started, but how far have we come and how far do we still have to go. Our teachers have worked very, very hard, and for several years has been a rather demoralizing experience to work this hard and to not always be able to reap the benefit, or at least to see it as graphs present themselves and as data is played out.
Can I just interrupt you for
Sure.
1 minute? Can we look at the 6th grade for a minute? For the 71% that you have listed here.
Right.
How do you, in your, being the professional, how do you explain that significant, which I think that's one of the highest numbers we've seen in a long time.
It is a huge
Um,
change.
I know the teacher, I understand the classroom dynamic and everything comes into play there, but what else do you think? Was it the test? Did the test change in any way?
No, I don't believe that the test changed, but I do believe that some of the practices that our 6th grade teachers, and others as well, but primarily the driving force would be to grade 6, because that's where the most significant change appears to be. We've been working over the past several years on our instructional leadership team, and also in their two-person teams and in their grade level teams, to look at ways for us to kind of de-stress and demystify the test for the students. One of the things that grade 6 did was to create what they called an MCAS blitz. Every day during our V period, which is 6th period of the day, they have regrouped students by their ability levels, not necessarily with their homeroom teacher or even with their math teacher as a cohort, but as regrouped according to ability levels, according to level of success on benchmarks and particular standards that needed to be addressed. And each of the teachers on the 6th grade level worked with those children every day to address the areas of weakness, to identify strengths, and to build on what they had. Our 5th grade teachers took their entire textbook and curriculum and redesigned it among themselves to emulate and clone the types of questions on MCAS. So if you look at theirs, their growth is from 38 to 64%, which is also certainly a huge amount. Also, as the children come into middle school, the amount of experience they have taking the test grows. So with the 3rd
So
graders.
the coaching method has increased.
It has been, and it has been quite intensive. And also, children who are underperforming are required by our handbook and our expectations to stay for extra help with their
Right.
teachers. It's not optional, it's
Right.
required. And our teachers are diligent about working with guidance, with identifying areas of weakness, and we have put in a student support center. In addition, we have a homework center, we have mandatory tutoring, but truly what the teachers have done, I believe, is what is making the difference. And
That's what drives it. Sure.
I believe so, and I think they're very dedicated. And so, for year after year to just miss the mark by, percentage, a fraction of a percentage point and not make AYP for how hard they work has got to be a demoralizing experience for them. And so last week, when we had our instructional leadership team, we went over these statistics and these graphs, and if you had the opportunity to do that, you can see from 2006 until the 2011 session, the percentage of growth. And there is tremendous growth from when they enter middle school until they leave, and from 2006 to 2011. So while we haven't made the 100% proficient, we definitely are moving in the right direction. Truly a credit to the hard work and dedication of the staff. Then if you go to, there are all sorts of graphs here for you, and I don't want to belabor the point. It would be a Herculean task for us to get through every single piece of this here. If you go to page 6, you can look at the graph distributions from 2006 to 2011, and this really emphasizes the type of growth that I was referring to. The dark blue is the advanced, and the kind of periwinkle blue is proficient. And on any page in my report, you will see a tremendous amount of the blue, which is proficient. So Oxford, as a district at the middle school level, has been very strong in the proficient categories. You'll also see that there has been growth in the advanced categories over the past 5 or 6 test sessions, and further if the state had included them as well. In some cases, the needs improvement and warning has dropped as much as 49%. That's a huge drop for the number of children who previously had been at that level. Each of the graphs that appear similar to the one on page 7 track out in numbers, where the graph shows you same data. It actually breaks down by number on page 7. And in some of those graphs, you'll see that Oxford has outperformed even the state percentages in some areas. And again, at the proficient level, in that particular category over the past 5 or 6 test sessions. We have done very well at the middle school. ELA is definitely our stronger subject area. It does not mean that we are sitting back and resting. We are still working. In fact, this year we implemented the Collins Writing Program. And for the majority of the teachers, that has been a goal, an educational goal, professional goal for this year. And it is across all disciplines that we are seeing the writing program implemented. And it is not just in ELA, it's in science and math as well, because they can still do writing assignments in science or social studies. One of the things that we have talked about in instructional leadership, because we see that we need to work more closely with grade 4, and that our 8th grade staff would really like to work at the high school so that we know we are providing a well-prepared feeder group to the high school. So we are looking to do some vertical teaming, and that is something that we are hoping for the future, hopefully the very near future, to be able to implement. We have the willingness, we just need to find the time to be able to do it. That works for all the schools, since we all get out at different times.
Because other districts that do that do have some pretty significant success when they do that.
And I think that would be key. I think we're at a point now where we've all found our niche, our strengths and our weaknesses, and now we need to work with the level, especially us, the level above us and the level below us, so that we can prepare. If you go to page 10, again, there's a sea of that periwinkle blue, and this is our grade 6 ELA, so you certainly can see why I think 6th grade teachers have worked so hard. 5th grade teachers getting them ready, 6th grade kind of launching them into all of that, and cutting down significantly on the numbers of needs improvement. We still have our small category of warning. When you look at them in actual numbers, percentages sometimes belie the real truth and wisdom there. In some cases, they're very small numbers of students, maybe 4 children.
Right.
But it still becomes, a much larger percentage. If you look at the grade 6 math, which is on page 12, and this is why particularly I think we've been successful in this area, the grade 6 teachers, we had 29% of our children in the aggregate were in the advanced category, and 36% were proficient. So that was huge for us at the middle school. Very proud of those statistics, and the teachers should be. Worked very hard, and it shows that the strategies and the best practices that we've implemented have been paying off. One of the things that was a little bit disappointing to us was that this year, for the 2011 session, some of the non-standard special education accommodations were taken away, so that children who had previously had access to a calculator or who had a reader, that was no longer an option. And so particularly in our grade 8 section for special education, it was a huge drawback for them. In fact, if you look at the graphs, you can see how much of a drawback that was for them.
And it's ridiculous.
Very disappointing for children who all
right.
through their schooling have been able to have those accommodations, and then in 8th grade,
And take it away
from them.
Yet you're expected, okay, this is what people don't understand. Those children are expected to do better or just as well as they've done in the past, okay? So whoever comes up with these, ideas of, oh, this is what we're gonna do now, I mean, I'd use a few choice words here, but I can't because Tony's here. But really, it just when we were told about that, how does that even make any sense to benefit the child? Where is the connection that's a good thing? Mrs. Ravelli?
Just a comment.
Sure.
My understanding is that you can challenge and on a case-by-case basis still request these, use of calculator, use of scribes, etc. It's a lengthy process. And I know that sometimes it's hard to scramble to get it done, and it wasn't something, I think, everybody in the state was blindsided by that. But it can be done, and I'm hoping that it's something that we're working on for now. To look at some of those specific students that you know benefit from the use of those accommodations, because again, it can be done. It's paperwork, it's time consuming. But starting somewhere, and starting in the middle school is where we really need to start, because by 10th grade, we have to have decisions, and there has to be a game plan by the time we take that. So, something to look into.
When we
Percent.
were notified by the state, it went to our previous special education director and then to the team chairs that we had been red flagged because we had these inordinate numbers. And at that time, our directive was to kind of cold turkey.
Oh, and you weren't alone.
Right.
Um,
And you saw on page 26 or 27, the results and what it did to our scores for our children. On page 26, it's our math.
I mean, look,
Yeah, go to 26,
yeah,
Brenda.
yeah.
I'm getting confused.
On the right-hand side is our special education subgroup, and on the left is our regular education aggregate. And the needs improvement is pink, and the warning is red. When you put the two of them together, that's 100% of our students. However, they are the very same children who, for the history of taking MCAS, have had modifications or accommodations. And so, for that to come out of nowhere at us, you see the results, which not really fair to them, not really fair to.
It's not fair to anybody. It's not
No,
fair
it's
to the teacher, the student, the parent, the community. I mean, it's just blatant disregard, in my opinion. I'm speaking for myself. It's blatant disregard for their education. And it's like hitting them in the face and saying, go for it on your own. It's an awful, awful way to promote them when you've been trying to show them this is the best way to do this, this is how we want you to learn. And you can learn. You can learn with having assistance and like having a scribe, having the calculator. All of these things can happen, and then swipe them away and say now you're on your own. I mean, it's the most ridiculous thing that one of the most ridiculous things I've seen come down the path in my 7 years here. And I've seen a couple of doozies, you know, and this really is one of the top 10.
Well, if you look at the numbers there, Brenda, they're staggering. Of the 24 students in that subgroup, 23 of them were warning and one was needs improvement. So while the 8th grade aggregate would have done fairly well on their own, they were not strong enough to absorb this number that were needs improvement and warning. 100% of this subgroup was needs improvement and warning. Very difficult for them to absorb that. And yet, they still, if you look at them in the aggregate and then the non-subgroups, they're 78% efficient and 7% advanced. Absorbing them with those numbers like that, so.
Mr. Himmelberger?
Just a quick point, not to beat this into submission, but to Mrs. Ravelli's point and to Mrs. Hackett's point, we will be taking the data that the state has given us, and we will be, along with Dr. Karen O'Neill, our new director, we will be taking the data back to DESE to say, look, the playing field isn't quite level here. And if you're going to require these kinds of targets, then you will have to be more fair in the use of modifications.
And I would also recommend to them, make some observations before you start handing out some mandates that don't make any sense to anyone. I mean, make some observations of what is happening here. That's one of DESE's biggest problems. They don't always make those kind of observations, and it just, like I say, it handcuffs us. So that's what I would put in the PS.
Yep.
Also, if I could call your attention to the history, the class histories beginning on page 22. I know in previous years, the school committee has asked if we could follow a cohort all the way
Yeah.
through the grades. And that's what these graphs are. And so as you're looking at them, the top graph is the current grade 9, but they took the MCAS with us in the spring. And you can see the growth. You want to see more blue than red and pink, and so you certainly see that as you get farther to the right of each of those graphs, whether it's ELA or math. Our growth seemed to be more significant in ELA than in math. But now remember, in that final right column, that far right for grade 8 math, that is the very same graph that absorbed 100% of the subgroup that was needs improvement or warning. And they were still able to have more than half of it in blue.
Mrs. Rebelli?
I'm sorry, am I on the wrong page?
Page 22,
Page 22, okay. And you said
class histories.
we've had quite a bit of growth in ELA,
Mhm.
okay, and quite a bit of growth in math.
From where we started in middle school.
Because I don't see that in math, so maybe I'm reading the wrong graph.
Well, if you start with grade 4 and 5 are almost the same.
4 and 5,
Now, this is the same cohort, same children all the way through, not different children.
okay.
Then
same
grade
thing.
6 goes up. 7, there is maybe a 1 or 2 person change. And then 8, grade 8 is the group that 100% of the subgroup was in needs improvement or warning. So while absorbing that 100% into the aggregate, they were able to maintain almost the same as what they had done in grade 7.
And what is the total number of students that are non-special education?
For that grade,
Sure.
the total is 162, so minus 24. We did have them on charts, but I believe total grade was 162, and 24 of them were special ed.
What page are you on now, Kathy?
That would be on 21.
Okay.
Go ahead, Mr.
There's a
Anderson.
question on, I'm following you, but I've also been doing percentage. Page 13, if I'm reading this right, the district on 2010, we had 194 children take this test
2010.
in math.
Which year?
In
Which-
2010, 194,
Mhm.
is that correct?
That's correct.
Yes.
And in 2011, we had 147, so that's a difference of 47 kids that didn't take the test this year, and we went down. We're pretty stagnant, 66 from last year, 56 for 09, 66%, 65 with 47 kids less.
These aren't the same classes here, these are,
On page 12,
right, these are all grade 6.
that's what I'm looking at,
Right,
correct?
so they're not the same classes. The group, the 6th grade in 2006 is reported, the 6th grade in 2007 is reported.
Okay, what you're saying is this here, page 22, this is the same class as page 22. Page 22, so what she's saying is that this is the same, this is the class when they were in 3rd grade, correct? Am I correct? This is the class when they were in 3rd grade, this is the class when they were in 4th grade, this is the class when they were in 5th. This is the same class, so same kid goes through 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th grade. These are different, this is the same, this is 6th grade,
Different children.
Different children.
different children.
It's not being
Because
tracked.
in 2006, they're in 6th grade, and in 2007, they're not in 6th grade anymore, they're in 7th.
Okay.
Is that helping?
And I know that is a bit confusing, that is how the state presents their information, and then you pull the graphs that you want to use. I know in the past, members of the committee had asked for the cohort, and this was one of the first years we were able to do that class history, graduating class history.
And I think that's a good vehicle too for Mr. Wells, you know, when he sees that coming his way,
Right.
you know,
When he looks at the 8th grade data from us in May,
right.
he has an understanding of his 9th grade population as they're entering. He knows where their strengths are, he knows their weaknesses, he knows, you know, ELA or math, what he needs to do for the standards.
Yeah.
Because they are disaggregated by standards as well.
Yeah, college is driving me crazy. Well, I don't know, I guess what I got out of all of this, and going back over it several times, is that we're still really having a hard time in math, and ELA is looking pretty good overall, just for parents, because I know they're all going to be at home watching this.
Oh.
So,
Yeah.
overall, you know, we're doing pretty good in ELA, but math, we're still just plugging away and just not making any headway, it seems like. It may seem different in the classroom, but from looking at this, that's what I'm getting out of all of these colors, is they're driving me crazy. Would you agree then, that the ELA is looking pretty formidable? We're
Actually,
making
we-
great progress there, and.
Well, we have been strong in ELA, we're not necessarily growing faster,
No,
but we
yeah.
started strong.
But when you only have so much to go, growth really isn't,
They still measure the growth.
I know they do, but for us,
Right,
for,
you know
for,
they
you know,
have.
for the, you know, for the purpose of a parent looking at this sort of information, it, you know, I'm trying to, I guess, simplify it a bit, and that ELA looks really strong, we're looking good there. Math still is not, you know, we're making gains, but actually this past year we hadn't, and, you know, part of that may be those 20-some-odd students that were special ed, but we know that we can rectify that by, you know, working with the DESE and getting those accommodations done. So we really should be looking at math then, you know, if that's the only thing dragging us down, then we should look much better come next year, is what, I guess is what I'm saying, but math is still a real.
Math is the area that we have struggled in historically, and I believe that other schools as well, while their
Yeah.
headaches are not mine, I have my own.
No, and I was going to say, it's not our concern.
And
This
whether,
is
I
all
know,
new.
some years ago, when the first tests were taken in schools that struggled, the everyday math book was recommended. And that is the textbook that we use, and that is, for better or worse, the one that the state is recommending. So we have taken their advantage of their advice, and it is a fairly expensive series to implement every year because of the consumable materials that are involved in support.
But we've been using that for how many years now?
It was here when I came, so
Yeah,
over 8 years.
and we're still in the same,
But we are growing. I wouldn't say we're still in the same place, but we're not growing enough. We are not growing enough. And we are not, I don't know what we can do differently than clone, than blitz. I think that the blitz for grade 6 did pay off. I think cloning for grade 5 paid off. Beyond that, we do have to have buy-in, and we do have to have rigor and commitment from students as well as their parents.
Oh, yeah.
I believe we have that from their teachers, over and above, you know, the 105%. But we do need that full buy-in from students and parents and anybody else who can offer support to our students.
Anything else from the committee, Susan, or anything else?
just that I did note some errors. And I don't know if you want to take a look at grade 5 again, math and ELA.
What pages?
7 and 9. As I was looking through, I noticed I was getting the same numbers. And my mathematical brain said, that's statistically not really possible or probable. So if you want to take a look at those and, I don't know, update us at another time?
We did note that when we were pulling information off the DOE's website, that there was a replication of data that we could not either confirm or refute because that was what was presented there. So that's what we went
Number
with.
7 doesn't match number
That's what we
6
went
at
with.
all.
And that's what we went with. That's what
I was looking at number 7 compared to number 6, so we'll get that information.
Mr. Himmelberger, will you be contacting DESE, or how does we handle that?
Let me double check with Mr. Miller and Mrs. Hackett on those. It looks like the whole page is
Is the replication.
replicated, so we'll check with DEC.
Yeah, on the state website, I think, because, gee, we look better, I only did 06 because it was the first number. And the only thing I could find there was advanced and proficient, and they gave us 59%, which we're listing here, only 44? No, I can't even add tonight, 43%.
And
So that's how I just confirmed that there's something not quite right in Denmark.
And if you go to the state report card or you go to the DESE website, you don't get the same statistics. So, I don't know how you fix
Good
that.
man. Good. I guess I was hoping that if we had other numbers, they would look better. We can always hope.
And there is some rounding up and rounding down, so sometimes they'll add to
Yeah, but-
101 and some to 99.
Yeah,
but-
there's definitely, though, round up, round down. You don't have, how many numbers are here? 4, 8, 12, 16, 24. You don't have 24 numbers times 3 columns, and they're all exactly the same. It just doesn't happen.
And some
Yeah.
of the graphs that they put on, one is not even there at all. The math for the growth percentile is a black line.
So just, if we go back, I don't know, in a month and see if anything's changed, if we look any better.
Mhm.
You never know,
Never know.
never know.
Um,
Wishful thinking.
In anticipation of this, through our Parent Advisory Council, we were able to put in math assistance this year in partnership with WPI. And so students have that as a math lab, as one of their enrichments in the rotation of their schedule. And we also were able to add STEM, which is science, technology, engineering, and math, trying to address the area where we were weakest.
Thank you very much for your report. We do appreciate your hard work. And we will stay on it. Yes, sir, go right ahead.
Follow along.
Follow
My
along.
yardstick pointer as well.
Wow, excellent.
You all set?
We are ready when you are. Go ahead, Mr. Barone, thank you.
Okay, I have a number of reports that I want to show you. They don't go in the same order as the information I provided to you. I have kind of tweaked this a little bit. But I just want to start off by saying that because of the redistricting last year, this year we're using, the results I'm presenting today are baseline results. So there will be no comparisons to last year or the year before. We're looking at this year last year's results as our baseline. So this first graph here shows the performance distribution for grade 3, how we did in the ELA in mathematics. So the blue area, 58% of the students in grade 3 scored in the proficient or above category as compared to, is that a 9? What?
That's a not.
42% of the students scored in the wanting or needs improvement area. And in mathematics, roughly 50% of the students scored in the proficient or above category, and 49% of the students scored wanting or needs improvement. All set? The next one, this is the same chart, same report for grade 4 students. Here we have 39% of the students scored in the ELA, scored in proficient or above, as compared to 62% of the students scored in the wanting or needs improvement area. And in mathematics, we had 36% of the students scored in proficient or above, and 64% of the students scored wanting or needs improvement. Next one. This chart right here shows the standard summary report. This shows the strand and the topic. It breaks it down in terms of the school score, which is also the district score because we are the only grade 3 school in the district, and as compared to the state, and the difference here being in the far column. Red reflects below state, black reflects above state. So this chart is important for us because it helps us narrow down some of the areas where we really need to improve or where we really need to focus on. So as you can see, we scored 15 percentage points below the state in math in the category of data analysis, statistics and probability, specifically in inferences and predictions. Can you scroll up down a little bit? And as you can see, there's a lot of red here. We really need to work on. Some of the other areas where there's where 6 and 5% or 7% below the state, we need to kind of focus there too. And up here, this is, can you scroll up a little bit? This is a little revealing over here because this tells the 3 different types of questions: multiple choice, open response, and short answer. And it shows how we did according to the state. And as you see, the open response, we're 8 percentage points below the state in the open response. And that's one of the things that you'll see resonates throughout some of these reports is the writing piece. We seem to be below the state, and that seems to be an area where we kind of need to improve on. Okay, next one. So the next couple charts, basically, the next couple reports basically show the same. This one here is the, this is grade 3 ELA. Same report, standard summary report. And again, over here, this tells us here, in the area of genre, we're 21 percentage points below the state. Obviously an area that we need to focus on here. Next one. We go into the same report for grade 4. Again, we're looking at areas that we can focus on and we can kind of hone in on this year as areas to kind of improve. Okay, we've got a number of 8s and 7s and 6s. Okay, next one. Same report again for grade 4 in math. Thank you. This next report shows, this is called the district item analysis, and this is rather revealing here, and it's very helpful in terms of moving forward. Over here we have the strand followed by the topic. This column here is the standard that's being covered. This tells the type of question, MC multiple choice, SR short response, SA would be short answer, and the other type of question would be open response, OR. This column over here, this is the district score, which is obvious. This is also the Clara Barton score here, as how it compared to the state, and this is the difference. These columns over here, this indicates the, if you can, I don't know if you can tell, but the correct answer is in the darker number. So for the question number 10, you lost me. That's okay. For this one here, multiple choice question number 10, the correct answer is B. So 97% of the students got that answer correct. Okay. What's interesting here is this column right here indicates we got, these are the students, this is the percentage of answers that were left blank. So as we go through, there's 3 pages to this report here. As we go through this report, you'll see there's a number of areas, there's a number of percentage points here that we lost because students did not answer the questions. Okay. Can you scroll up just a little bit?
So you need to teach testing.
Okay. This column over here, this tells, this is how the points were distributed. So for these questions, this column here is for the open response, short answers, and the everything but multiple choice. So here, for example, here, 3% of the students got 0 points, 28% of the students got 1 point. The range of points in this column go from 0 to 4. So when we look at this, again, I'm looking at it from the point of view where we have a number of questions where we got 0 points. And how can we improve on that? Okay. Thank you. Scroll up a little bit.
Circle it, another line.
Go back down to it. Okay, let's go to the next one. That was grade 3 ELA. This one here is grade 4. This is the same chart. Again, only this is for grade 4 in mathematics. And again, in this column right here for the short answers, short response, and open response, again, I'm looking here for this question right here. The correct answer is A. And what this tells me is that we had a number of students that chose B, a few students chose C, and a few students chose D for that answer. So what I would do here, what we would do here, is we would go into the question here. We're going to open up number 15 and take a look at the question to see what it is. Wow, thank you. Hopefully this is one that is on here. Okay, so here's an example of the question that a number of students got wrong. So as a team, as a grade, and as a school, we would take a look at this question, look at, what the correct answer is. This is a probability question. The correct answer is A, likely. A number of students chose B, which is certain, as the second option, and then 1 or 2 students chose C. So going deep into the reports to find answers to why students responded the way they did is what we're going to be doing this year. Okay, thank you. No, that's not it. Okay, and this is just simply the growth distribution for grade 4. We don't have the growth distribution for grade 3 because the student growth percentile represents the growth or improvement from the previous year as compared to their peers in the same group range, in the same school range. So basically what we have here is this is saying that 34% of the students showed very low growth, 26% of the students showed low growth, 18% of the students showed moderate, 15 and 7 high or very high growth for ELA for grade 4. Next one.
Neil, can you do me a favor, when you get to the page, can you enlarge it some? Thank you. There we go.
Okay, can you scroll down? Is this mathematics? Is this math, grade 4 math?
It's not.
Mathematics, yeah.
This is grade 4, student growth distribution for grade 4. Again, 26% of the students scored very low, showed very low growth, 21% showed low growth, 16 moderate, 21, and 15 high and very high. Okay, next one. So I guess the question is, what are we doing? As a school, we're doing what I think is a lot. We're working very hard. All staff is committed and has been committed to improving student mastery of skills. So some of the things we're doing, last year we initiated a program where we put the students into flexible math groups. Last year we did 75% of the building worked with those flexible math groups. This year we have 100% of the grades and classes participating in the flexible math groups. And the flexible math groups, what we do is we level the students according to their ability, and then those students for an hour and 15 minutes each day go to a math teacher who works with them at their specific level. Another thing we did was we increased the amount of time that we spend on math this year by about 15 minutes. Morning math for Title I students is continuing this year. We started a little bit earlier this year. We started about 3 weeks ago. One of the things we're going to be doing differently this year is we're going to be looking at the students' MAP scores and MCAS scores to find out where specifically they have skill gaps and focus the instruction during that morning math for Title I students, Tuesday through Thursdays. Initiating a balanced approach to literacy. This was a program that we piloted last year in one of the 3rd grade classrooms. This year we're trying to move it into more of the classrooms. and into both third and fourth grade. Essentially what we're doing is we're asking or encouraging teachers to take a different approach to reading. Instead of using the basal reader as the main source of reading instruction in the classroom. We're trying to encourage level readers in the classrooms, and also to we're asking the teachers to try to find numerous ways to have the kids reading and writing on a daily basis. Common grade level morning work in math and ELA, plus daily writing prompts. Again, that's an initiative that we put forward last year, where every morning when the students come in for 15 minutes, they all work on common grade level math and language skills that are designed to reinforce and improve their skill in those areas. And then at some point during the day, they're all asked to do a quick response to a writing prompt that's given to them. The new John Collins writing program this year, we've taken a vertical approach with this. We're going K through 12. There's a lot of excitement around the building, around this program, and we're looking forward to continuing with this. This hopefully will bring a lot of consistency and continuity to our writing program, as well as enjoyment for writing. We've established MCAS committees for ELA and math to review the data and develop an action plan. This is something new that we put forward this year, where we have a group of teachers that are working from both third and fourth grade that are working on the ELA MCAS reports, and a group of teachers from both third and fourth grade that are working on the math MCAS reports. They are looking at that data, they're discussing it, and they're going to come up with an action plan that we're going to present to the staff at the December staff meeting. Establish grade level common math vocabulary words to be learned and reviewed throughout the year. This was something that we did about a couple weeks ago, because we found that some of the vocabulary words that when students were going to take their MCAS assessment, or even their MAP testing, when they do their MAP testing, they found a number of words that were unfamiliar to them. So we asked the teachers in both third and fourth grade to get together, sit down, brainstorm all the math words that they think they would be using throughout the course of the year. They wrote those up, we distributed them to those lists to them, and next week and the week after, we're going to begin to work on a scope and sequence, where teachers are going to be, all the teachers in third grade and all the teachers in fourth grade will be using those math words according to what that scope and sequence is throughout the course of the year. Small group skill reinforcement for students that didn't meet benchmarks on MAP and MCAS tests, plus small group enrichment work for students that scored advanced. Our literacy coach works very closely with all the data that comes through our building, the DIBELS, the MCAS, and the MAP scores. And so she and I have sat down and we've established a list of students that need reinforcement in specific skill area. Those students will be pulled out during the course of the week and get either one-on-one or very small group reinforcement with our literacy coach. We've also talked about the fact that we've lost some of the students in the advanced category, and we want to provide some type of an enrichment to them. So she is going to be working with those students and providing enrichment work with those students during the course of the year as well. Double dose support for reading. Students get foundations and reading support in their classroom, and certain students that are at risk are also pulled out for extra Wilson reading support during the course of the week. 3 school initiatives. This year we established 3 school-wide initiatives. I don't know if you saw them on the way in there on the bulletin board. Number 1 is MCAS, number 2 is school culture, and number 3 is parent involvement. We're here tonight talking about MCAS, parental involvement, and school culture. Parental involvement and school culture. Research shows that they directly affect student achievement, so we've made those our school-wide initiatives that we're all focusing on during the course of the year. Bi-weekly curriculum meetings. This is something new that I've talked about with a few people, and what we're going to do is we're going to start this in a couple weeks, and we're going to get together with people on a voluntary basis after school to chat about curriculum. And student and parent skill work to be sent home. This is also something new that we're going to be working on. where we're going to, on long weekends, holidays, and vacations, we're going to send packets home to students so that parents can work with students. We will probably supply answer sheets as well. Parents can work with students at home on those skill sheets. They are not to come back to school. It's just for the parental piece at home for them to help and support their children. So hopefully, with all those things in place, student success and student achievement will improve and increase somewhat. We're optimistic and, we're here to give it our best.
Thank you very much, Mr. Barone. Any questions from the committee? Thank you very much, we appreciate that. Mr. Yvonne, would you like to just go through your MCAS actions for us? That'd be great.
Just begin with a reminder to everyone who's watching that due to the reorganization that we went through last year, there's no longer MCAS testing that takes place at the A.M. Chapey School, so we don't have MCAS data to speak about from the Chapey School perspective. But the Barton School scores are our scores, the middle school scores are our scores. And based upon the evaluation of the third grade scores and the district MCAS scores, it certainly can be seen their efforts need to be focused on improving the basic skills of our students in ELA and mathematics, strengthening that foundation that our children get in kindergarten, first and second grade, so that when they get to third grade, they're better prepared for the challenges that MCAS throws at them. And in the 2011-2012 school year, we're taking the following actions, and one that I added as we were speaking is the coaching that Mrs. Hackett talked about in helping the children become better prepared to take tests starts with us. As with the implementation of math testing this year and the testing that goes along with our math and reading curriculum, we are working with our children on how to answer multiple choice questions and reminding them the things that we've all learned over the years. One answer usually doesn't make sense. Be wary of all of the above. When in doubt, choose C. Not to leave anything blank. We do walk through that with our children. Unfortunately, when we're testing in the classroom, we can walk behind somebody and say, number 4, you can't leave that blank. You need to do something. On MCAS, if a student chooses not to answer a question, we can't remind them, go back and answer that.
Right.
But we are starting to drill that in there. Math testing was administered for the first time this year to our second grade students. It'll be done 2 more times during the school year. And we're using the results of the MAP test to identify areas of curriculum in need of attention by grade level, by small group, and by individual students to help us pinpoint and focus our instruction. And aside, as you were talking about the special education aspect of MCAS, I've got the option to not test children if I feel it's inappropriate. And there are some children I decided this is bordering on malpractice to try and make them sit through and take this test, so we're not going to make them take this test. We've got other ways of measuring their progress, and there are other tests that are administered to these children on a yearly basis that help us know we're doing the right things with them. I also have the option of, for some students, having them take a test at a different level, which is an option we don't have at MCAS. If I'm in 3rd grade and I'm reading on a 1st grade level, I have to take a 3rd grade MCAS test. So for a few of our students, I opted to use the primary test of MAP, which is they use headphones, it's read to them as it's needed to be, so that we're able to get from those children what they know, and a score that is the same as the score in any other MAP test, and can measure their growth across the school year. The initial results of that, in reading, 61.5% of our students scored at or above the normative median. So nationally, 61%, between 61 and 62% of our kids are either at the middle score or above. And if they're projected to take the MCAS at this point, when they get to 3rd grade, 52% are projected to score proficient, as we stand now without a full year of 2nd grade instruction before them. In math, as we've noted, it's an area that we need work across the district. 56% scored at or above the normative median, and 47% are projected to score at proficient if they stay at the same level and take their MCAS in the coming school year, next school year. And looking at the Lex style scores, the majority of our students are at or above the typical Lexile for beginning grade 2. So I think we're off to a good start, and we put in a year of intensive second grade instruction. We're hoping to see those numbers improve. And again, the purpose is just to be able to show individual growth of students as well as growth altogether. We have Title I services available throughout the building for students in reading and math, K through 2. Our literacy teacher this year is focusing our attention in grade 1 and 2, because we have 1 instead of 2, and 20 classrooms and 1 teacher is a lot to expect. So we want to get the best bang for our buck and get where we try and get our children reading at or above grade level by the time they leave us in grade 2. Again, giving that advantage when they get to grade 3 in the MCAS test. Morning math instruction is offered 3 days a week to our Title I students through the Title I program. And this program offers reinforcement in practice and basic math skills and the development of mathematical thinking. And if I remember correctly, Mr. Daly, we're still considering possibly a day for kindergarten, once a week, once we get some assessment results back from them through our DIBELS and teacher recommendations, to get that additional support in there for them as well. As Mr. Baroni had mentioned with the 3rd and 4th grade teachers, our kindergarten, 1st and 2nd grade teachers are beginning to focus on mathematics literacy. So in addition to teaching the math concepts appropriate for each grade level, they're teaching the vocabulary that go along with those concepts as reading vocabulary. I noted when we were doing the MAP test, the same thing that Mr. Baroni had spoke of. The children was, what's this word? What's this word? They knew the concept. They couldn't decode the word. So it was clear that through instruction, the word was in their speaking and their listening and their understanding vocabulary, but it wasn't in their decoding vocabulary. And again, on the MAP test, it's not MCAS. I can tell them, that says symmetry. I can't tell you what it means. And most of the time, oh, symmetry, okay. And they go right on and get it. In order to be successful on the math test, they've got to be able to read those words themselves. So our kindergarten teachers put together a list of words that they're going to teach, either as sight words or as decodable words related to math. The children can read and should be able to read while they're moving along. 1st grade has done the same thing with their units. 2nd grade has done the same thing with their units. We added, or are adding, instructional videos to our website to help parents get more involved in supporting their children through the Everyday Math program. Right now we've got 1 video working with the teachers on developing the remainder of the videos to teach the parents how to play the games that we play in the classrooms to reinforce skills. Very simple games that they can play with stuff we've got at the house, a deck of cards, dice, coins, as well as explaining the algorithms that we use for instruction. We all know how we were taught to add, subtract, multiply, and divide. There are different methods that are taught along with those in the Everyday Math program. And with a classroom teacher explaining that on video, the parent can get a better sense of, oh, okay, that's what we're supposed to be doing on these pieces of our homework. Now I can help you a little bit better, so that the 7-year-old isn't saying, nah, Mom, that's not right. That's not how we do it, and trying to explain it, but not quite getting the full depth of it in place. We've adopted, along with the rest of the district, the John Collins writing program, and our teachers are incorporating Type 1 and Type 2 writing in all areas of curriculum. And Type 3 writing is going to be incorporated as appropriate to the developmental level of our students. Obviously, our kindergarten and 1st grade students are just beginning to learn the sound-symbol relationship, how to make the symbols on the paper. But as the year progresses and those skills become more secure for our students, we'll throw out Type 3 writing with focus correction areas. And we've made the decision at the building that any work that's going to be published, put out for public view. So as you went through the building, Mrs. Innocent saw on our bulletin boards, hopefully what you noted, there were very few spelling errors on the stuff that was up on the bulletin board. The writing was legible, spacing, period, punctuation. A lot of our kids aren't there yet, but we worked hard with the teacher to edit those because our children need to learn. The stuff that's out there for everybody else to read has to follow specific conventions for someone else to be able to read it. Sure. We're seeing an increase in the amount of writing in the building already, and not just in the English language arts area, but in math, in science, in social studies. And what our goal is, by the time children leave grade 2, is to have them feel comfortable and fluent in getting their ideas on paper, so that when they get to 3rd grade and they're hit with an open response question or a short answer question, they're going to be less likely to leave it blank, or less likely to write 1 or 2 words, because they are already familiar with, okay, I need to write at least 3 lines, and not worried about how they're putting their words on paper, but just getting them. The teachers at each grade level have determined focus correction areas for the school year by grade. And either at our November or December staff meeting, we want to look at those across the grade level and make sure that we don't have too much overlap, and that there's a specific focus for kindergarten, 1st grade, and 2nd grade. And we're going to review those annually, so just getting our feet in the water to make sure that the focus correction areas that we've chosen are appropriate and function K through 3. The staff meetings this year have been and will continue to be devoted to the successful implementation of the John Collins Writing Program and addressing our curriculum and instruction needs relative to student performance and the Common Core standards. Our first staff meeting was kind of a check-in, how are we doing? People expressing concerns they've had with implementing Collins and sharing ideas on how to address those concerns, successes with the Collins Writing Program, sharing writing prompts. Our last staff meeting, we took time developing writing prompts for mathematics, because that seemed to be the area where we felt it was the most awkward. I mean, in science, you can say, write what you know about bats, or tell me what you want to know about sound. In math, what do you want to know about 5? It's a little bit weird. So we were able to develop some writing prompts, mostly type 2, because we're looking for a specific correct answer in kindergarten, first and 2nd grade, to help us do more writing in math, and again, help us improve those MCAS scores in 3rd grade, become math on the open response and short answer questions. All of our teachers have been introduced to the Common Core curriculum, and as we move through this year and into next, as the MCAS starts to roll from being based on the frameworks this year to partially based on the frameworks in the Common Core next year to be fully based on the Common Core, that by the time this kindergarten group gets into 3rd grade, their curriculum is based on the Common Core, so that they're ready to go. Our current 1st grade class is the first group to have been in kindergarten full day. So within the next 2 years, we should start seeing the effects of full day kindergarten with our 3rd grade group.
Okay, very good. Thank you very much. Any questions, comments?
Just a comment. You said that for parents,
Yes.
and I'll be driving this home for the next few years anyway, you're creating these websites and videos and whatever for parents to go to for math. And I'm wondering if there's any thought to do, math night, I don't know, game night, math game night here.
We've done it.
You've done
Yeah.
those in the past?
Mrs. Romer, Mrs. Dizik, traditionally 2nd grade, do a
And how
math
often
night.
do we do those?
Once a year, right when we get around to that area where the algorithms start to come in that are different from what you and I learned in school, so that the parents can get a firsthand taste of partial sums, when we had K through 4, partial products, lattice multiplication, the same thing that we do with the videos. The videos provide us a length of performance that you might not get doing an in-person presentation. The videos will be there all of the time, as opposed to I can't make it that Tuesday night.
Well, I think if it could be expanded and not just once a year, because at this age, parents are still very involved. They want to still be involved, and the kids still want mom and dad here.
Yeah.
And, you can, not only with the math, but ELA, reading, writing, et cetera, having parents involved at this age and knowing what my kid is doing in school can be quite helpful. And they're still primary educators,
Yes, I agree.
and whatever beliefs they have about education is what the kid's going to emulate. So let's get them in when they want to still come. That's all.
I appreciate that, absolutely.
Thank you. Mr. Anderson?
I was reading, Ms. Yvonne, what would you do, I believe you did say there's Title I, but I don't see it here for the kids that might have problems reading. Do we have that service for Title I reading?
Yes, we have Title I reading and Title I math.
Okay, I just noticed you only have Title I. And on your Common Core, is that gonna be, gonna have professional development ongoing on the Common Core? I don't know if that's a direct question for you or Mrs. Daly.
But it's certainly something that I consider the work we do at our staff meetings, professional development. So in that sense, yes, as we work in the Common Core as a whole group, as a staff, there will be professional development in that sense. As far as having somebody from outside come in and talk with us, that's a district-wide decision that we need to make.
Thank you very much. We appreciate it, thank you very much. Mr. Wells, Mr. Nugent, you are up.
This is really, I think, a comment for the...
Oh, sorry, okay,
Sorry, can I just say one thing?
sure.
We just recently purchased through Title I some iPads. And we also purchased the Everyday Math games that can be put on the iPad or iPhone. So if people are interested in that, they are available at the App Store, the Apple App Store.
Okay.
And they were fairly inexpensive for what they are. So.
Mr. Yvonne?
If you go to the AM Chafee website, on the left-hand side of the page, if you click Everyday Math Resources, the first thing on that page is a reference to the apps that are available in the App Store, and I believe all you have to do is type Macmillan in the search engine, and they're the first few apps that come up.
We can put that on the website?
Sure.
Okay, that'd be great, thank you very much, thanks for that. Mr. Wells, Mr. Nugent, thank you very much for coming in this evening.
Thank
We
you
look forward to your MCAS report.
We appreciate it. Needless to say, we are less than pleased that we did not meet AYP, not by large percentages, but what I'd like to do is allow Mr. Nugent to go through the statistics before you, and I would like to add on as we go some points that I think are really important.
Sure.
Well, first, I'd like to point out that the covers I did 2 separate times. Some came out with a beautiful sunset, and some came out with gray skies, so I made sure you guys all got the beautiful sunset.
That was the most important.
I got great sky.
So they're gonna clear up.
Thank you.
The class of 2013, who took the test as 10th graders last year, for the ELA, there are 124. These are Oxford High School students only, no out-of-district placements or in-district placements, just Oxford High School students. Out of the 124, we had 32 scoring the advanced range, 67 the proficient range, 25 for needs improvement, and we didn't have anybody fail the ELA this year. Correct, yeah, and then percentages to the right. For math, we had 122 students take it. In advanced, we had 53, proficient 36, needs improvement 20, and unfortunately, the failure, we had 13, which is up quite a bit from last year. So overall comparison of last year, the advanced proficient in ELA, last year we had 86.8% score advanced or proficient. This year was 79.8%, so we did have a decrease of about 7%. With the math, 81.6% scored in that range last year. Only 73% did this year, so we were down about 10%. Again, with the ELA, our failure rate did drop 1.5%, but with the math, it increased close to 10%, unfortunately. Next couple of pages, just take that information and into a graph and compare the last 3 years. So you can see, you know, in some areas we did do better. Like the ELA, we did have a better percentage of advanced, but the proficient went down and the needs improvement went up. And that's really the issue of why we did not make the AYP this year. The third page kind of shows the percent advanced and proficient and what they base AYP on. The next page, and we can go back during the questions, but the next page, they have the bar graphs with all those colors. It shows the Oxford High School class of 2013, their MCAS history, starting with 3rd grade for math and, third grade for ELA and 4th grade for math. If you look at the blue, the dark blue and the light blue as compared to the salmon and red, overall throughout the years, it does show that our students have been improving as they went throughout. Now, these numbers do include coffee as opposed to the other numbers as well. So it's the dark blue with the advanced, which is,
So this class of 2013 includes coffee.
The colored bar graph
The
does.
pul-
the
right.
10th grade, right.
Page
Okay.
1, the statistical analysis, the very
It's
beginning,
not.
Right, is
Dave-
only
Right.
OHS.
Only
just
right, the
OHS.
first 4 pages are Oxford High School.
What was the difference in student count? Do we know?
math, I believe.
As far as.
Well, it's gonna kind of steal a little bit of, I think, Mr. Canapioli's thunder, but I believe there were 7 students that failed math.
I think overall, the total, 14, but 14 or 15 students.
Okay, that's what I'm looking for,
Okay.
the overall.
Yeah, 14
Okay.
or 15.
All right.
What we continue to do to support our students,
No, for coffee students.
we have the academic support grant where we have a retired math teacher come in. Currently, she's filling in as a long-term sub, so she's doing some direct teaching with these students. But we will set her up as a one-on-one tutor during the school year, where students will be taken out of, we try ACT labs. If not ACT labs, then the non-core subjects once a week, so they can get some support. She has their test results. We target the students who did not pass first, so they can take them in November and March. And after that, we target the sophomores and the 9th graders. Biology, we offer a biology tutor to those students who have yet to pass the biology test or any type of science test. We do that after school, more of a group setting. Any student who does not get proficient or advanced goes on an EPP, Education Proficiency Plan. And typically what happens is the student will take an extra year of whatever they got needs improvement in. So we're having a lot more students take a 4th year of a MAP, which is going to be standard in a couple of years anyways by
Common
the
Core.
state. Teachers are given the results of the kids. What they started a couple of years ago is I'm able to download actual essays that our kids wrote without the names, but teachers can use, okay, this is a perfect score, this is okay, this is what not to do. So they can kind of show students examples.
And are those from our students?
Yes.
They are, okay.
Yeah, just without the names.
All right.
And we're also, John Collins is going to do a difference for our kids, I'm pretty confident about. The last page is our sophomores of this year, but the freshmen who took the physical science test. We have 8 students who will need to take another science test. That will be whatever class they're taking now. Most of them will be biology. And biology historically has been the harder test to pass. That's why the tutoring has focused on biology and not physical science.
During the course of, this is my 4th year presenting statistics for each individual class, I think I've made myself, or made my position relatively clear with adequate yearly progress. I use that football analogy quite often, and that is that with adequate yearly progress, if your football team goes 9-1 this year, and you graduate 25 seniors that all played a tremendous role in the great success, in order to reach adequate yearly progress, what they're saying is, they don't care how many people graduated, you need to be 10-0 next year. So it becomes, a lot of schools are reaching a plateau, and in Massachusetts, because we are at the forefront in terms of the United States, I know that Mr. Chester is applying for waivers for the state of Massachusetts and Commonwealth, which certainly makes sense. Also, when you take a look at the growth chart that we have, and I know that a couple of my other colleagues had pointed out to this, both on the smart board and in some of the paperwork that you have, it's pretty clear going through grades 3 through 10, the progressions that the particular classes are making. So their individual growth is tremendous. I'm going to share with you this evening our John and Abigail Adams Scholarship winners. And I wish someone at the state level could answer for me. John and Abigail Adams Scholarship winners are based on a combined score that's in the upper 25% of their class. they need to have at least one advanced and a proficient, or two advanced, and they become a John and Abigail Adams Scholarship winner. So my point being is that it's okay to compare them just to the class for the purpose of the scholarship and the public relations that does go along with these wonderful accomplishments, but they don't do that when they're looking at adequate yearly progress. So I think numbers across the Commonwealth would be different if they use the same rubric for scoring for the John and Abigail Adams Scholarship as they do for adequate yearly progress. Something that I just want to highlight, and that is on the second bar graph that you have. If you look at the top, it says 3-year OHS comparison. To the left, proficient and advanced, the mean number for all 3 years in ELA, approximately 81% of our students received either advanced or proficient, and approximately 77% received advanced and proficient as a mean number in math. That's pretty good. So even though we didn't make adequate yearly progress, I'm not saying that I'm satisfied with that, but I am saying that where we are at this point certainly can get better, but it's not as bad as it's perceived when you say that we haven't made adequate yearly progress. And if you track this class from previously, you can see all the way through, on that second to the last chart, how they moved throughout from grade 3 through grade 10. And it was just a little bit slower, quite frankly, than the previous classes that we've had.
Just to add on to what Mr. Himmelberger said about the miscalculation of the math scores, we had 81 students affected by that, mostly just 1 or 2 points, but we did have 2 students who went from needs improvement to proficient, and 2 students went from proficient to advanced. So thank you to that student, whoever figured out that they made a mistake. And also, before Mr. Wells reads the name, I do want to note, in a couple of years, I don't think they've decided exactly when, but the science scores will be factored into the Abigail Adams, so it's going to be a little bit tougher for the students to receive this in a couple of years, because the science will be calculated in.
That will change the game a bit.
A tad. Does anyone have any questions regarding the presentation of scores?
We're okay. How many recipients do you have?
There are 37 recipients. I don't know if you'd like me to call them by name, which I can.
Sure. By all means.
So congratulations are extended to the 2012 recipients of the John and Abigail Adams Scholarship for this year's, actually they're juniors. Emily Barton, Courtney Beaudry, Devin Boudreau, Emily Briggs, Nicholas Bruzios, Laura Cleary, Shannon Courtney, Catherine Devon, Ronnie DuPont, Nicole Ferrantino, Ian Gallivan, Savannah Goodrich, Jackie Green, Connor Guerin, Laura Holmes, Stephen Johnson, Jared Kennan, Mark Kravosky, Jonathan Lancy, Nicholas LeMay, Nicole Mangotis, Kayla McCarthy, Jacob Mercure, Nicole Miller, Shannon Morgan, Shannon Murphy, Jeremy O'Connor, Jordan Orell, Cassandra Pastier, Samesh Patel, Lauren Pushies, Christopher Reardon, Catherine Shaw, Michelle Williams, Candace Wilmot, and Jennifer Wyrick. Congratulations to those students.
All very good students, names that we've heard many times.
Sure.
That's very good. Thank you very much for sharing that with us. Congratulations to all of them. Thank you for your report. We appreciate it. Mr. Cannacchioli, you are up.
Thank you, Mrs. Dennis.
You're welcome.
Good evening. This report has no colors and no flipping, so I think that might be a refresher for some of you. Simply from the 2011 grade 10 MCAS roster that I got from the high school, as I'm the new director this year. Students took the test last year. We had 14 students who appeared as taking the test. 2 students were from Connecticut, so they don't take the test. So of the 12 kids that did take the test, 9 were from out of district and 3 were from Oxford. And you can see the breakdown. For ELA, excuse me, we had 4 failures, 3 needs improvement, 2 proficient, and 3 were absent. Of the absent students, 1 was an Oxford student, and of the needs improvement, 2 were Oxford students. And in math, 6 failures, which is 50%, 4 needs improvement, and of the needs improvement, 2 were Oxford students. 0 were proficient, and 2 were absent, 1 being an Oxford student. So that's kind of the population and the numbers as they shook out last year. Some things I can talk to you about that we're doing different. It's a new culture and there's some new expectations on Project Coffee. So my anticipation is for the results from the 2012 MCAS tests. I predict that these scores are going to be better. The in-classroom work that's going on and the expectations, as I said, have been raised. I am speaking with the students now who will be taking the retests in November about, as some of my colleagues were talking about leaving answers blank, not even approaching, not even trying some of the questions. So those are things that I'm working on with the students as well as the staff are. You know, one of the big issues that we have down there is we're working with an at-risk population. So every day it's a battle, it's a struggle just to get them into school. So the test for a lot of them is way off their radar screen. And again, in the changing of some of the rules and the expectations and the structure that we've brought into coffee this year, I'm expecting that to change. Kids are being challenged more, kids are starting to taste success, so I think that these numbers will change. You know, Mr. Himmelberger talked about low-income statistics, how it's been a dramatic rise here in Oxford. You know, we deal with that population every day. And that's what alternative education's about. Unfortunately, that's spilling off into the other schools too, and it's just, it's a dire need. It's a tough population to deal with. It's a tough population to get parents on board with. But we're working it. I'm very happy with the progress that we've made so far at Coffee. A few months into my position, and I'm just anticipating these numbers to improve.
When students are absent, aren't they required to make up the test if they are absent? I thought that they had to.
If
Did they leave the district, or did they just drop out?
Again, not
or-
being there, I'm not quite sure how it all shook out. That was the former director's, it was under her leadership. But there are makeup dates, but if they're absent for the makeup dates,
And
then
then
you
they're
submitted it
they're
as
out of it,
absent.
right?
Right.
Okay.
It's a short window.
And it
It
is
is.
very
5
short.
days.
It's 5 days. Oh, okay. All right, well, we wish you all the best.
Thank
We
you.
know that it is a different population, but, you know, it's a necessary need that coffee provides, which is great. We're happy to have it here in our town. Do you need to change the tape? No? Okay. Any questions regarding Mr. Canaglioli's report? No? Thank you very much, we
Thank you.
appreciate it. Okay, well, we have some information, we have some work to still do, and we shall continue on. Next on the agenda, I will hand everything over to our business manager, Mr. Matthew.
Thank you
The
very much.
report you have, thank you.
Attached to the memo was the regular monthly expenditure report. Additionally, is the first time the committee is seeing my utility report. I chose just the high school for right now. And ask if you guys have any feedback that you'd like to provide, preferably off camera, for improvements in presentation of this information. I think it's important to have, perhaps on a quarterly basis, maybe along with the revolving funds and those sorts of things. But this is one area where these expenses are controllable, our use is controllable. So if we start to really hone in and focus in this particular area, it's a way that we can divert some operational dollars into the educational side. It won't be much, but every little bit certainly helps out. Additionally, as I noted in my report, we are starting a recycling program, a little more in-depth than what has happened previously. In conjunction with Pratt Trucking, who currently provides our waste disposal services, they offer single stream recycling, which means basically that it's not onerous, oh, you need 7 different containers for 7 different things and 9 containers for each of the 9 different classifications of plastics. It's either food, garbage, and going truly to the landfill, or it's recyclable. So you're only gonna, the schools will only have 2 buckets to throw things into. I've met with Pratt, we're gonna be rolling it out at the high school over the course of the next couple of days, and hopefully we'll get it out to the middle school shortly afterwards, and the elementary schools ultimately. It's not, again, a huge cost savings, but $15,000, I think, spent on education in books, iPads, and those sorts of things is better than to our landfill operation.
Absolutely. Any questions for Mr. Matthew? Comments?
Long overdue.
Thank you very much. Mr. Himmelberger?
Just as a point of information, Mr. Matthew has done a lot of work in moving us towards this much more of a green approach. And a big piece of it has been the use of passive electricity. And just doing a test in the former central office, 10 to 15% of your electric bill is if we don't turn things off. And so the principals and directors are really making a concerted effort to let staff know. And I had sent out an email to the entire faculty and staff Friday to let them know of what we are doing. And it's redirecting budget dollars to education and instructional materials and teaching and learning compared to spending it on other things. And I think if we can get everybody on board, there's a significant amount of money that we can redirect to what we desperately need to redirect it to.
Agreed. Thank you. Anything from the committee? Anything else, Mr. Matthew? Thank you very much. Mr. Himmelberger, I know you have some news.
Just a couple of newsworthy items, and I'm sure everyone heard from me Friday and thought there was no school on Monday. But it was simply to let everyone know that the central office has temporarily relocated. The space at 5 Sigourney Street really has deteriorated rapidly, so we are now at Town Hall, and we'll be there probably through the end of the year. If folks need to access us, the phone number, as I said, and the mailing address and our office hours, 8 to 4:30, are unchanged. But it's important to know that no longer do we have a drop box for mail and payments for Educare, that'll all have to be taken care of in person during the regular business hours. We expect to have this temporary arrangement between now and the end of the year, and then as soon as the new space is available to us on the top floor of the community center, we will be moving there as quickly as possible. It is a terrific, efficient, effective space that will allow us to house all district-wide functions under one roof. But we do ask for a little bearing with us until we get that actual move taken care of. The other piece of information is that the Massachusetts School Building Authority has given us the green light to proceed with our project to renovate the Oxford Middle School. Long overdue, and certainly we are hopefully on a fast track. We are now to weekly phone calls with SBA, and it's a very quick sequence of checklists and time limits and benchmarks that need to be met so that we can actually get to bid so that work can begin. The only time it can be done is June, July, and August. So we're hopeful that that project will be out to bid in the spring so that we can start that renovation project, which is desperately needed. And that is all I have.
Very good. And I don't know if you heard from Mr. Zaneski, but Our first building committee meeting is Thursday.
Thursday at
At
3:30.
3:30. I don't know where, but,
I believe it's Town Hall Conference
okay.
Room.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yes.
All right, thank you. All right. Mrs. Ravelli?
Oh, nothing additional.
Mr. Anderson?
Just one thing, Alan mentioned Educare. Educare is open now till 6 o'clock at night.
Yes.
Did we go up on the prices during the day or anything for that? Are we, because now they're, what, half an hour more?
We did bring to the committee price increases last spring for the current year, but the additional half hour was really in reaction to the community center program not being open. The parents that had previously participated with the community center had been accustomed to that 6 o'clock timeframe. So we, looked at it and said that that wouldn't be too onerous on us in terms of cost to provide that extra service.
But we are paying for the people to stay till 6 o'clock at night, correct?
That's correct.
Or after 6 o'clock, and we're not gaining that.
Well,
that
if
extra half an
they're
hour.
after 6 o'clock, they actually are penalized, I believe $5 per 5 minutes.
We expect promptness. Obviously, it can't be 100% of the time, but they are penalized because it's a direct impact on the bottom line.
But again, with the price increases that we did put into effect last spring, we felt we were okay.
That's all I have.
Thank you very much. And I have nothing this evening. I'd like to thank everyone again for their reports, and Mr. Barone, thank you for hosting this meeting. Our next meeting will be at the Oxford Middle School on November 14th, so we look forward to Mrs. Hackett and Mr. Milner hosting that meeting for us. Thank you all very much. I will make a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Thank you. I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, we are adjourned. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Tony.